So I wanted to give a quick show off of how my frogs live their fancy lives. Oh, I also want to point out that guy there in the back with his mouth hanging open. His mouth's always like that. He tried to steal a roach from the biggest frog once and was just barely able to swallow it. So his mouth is just kind of stuck like that now. Looks weird, but he's never had any quality of life problems as far as we can tell. I mean, I guess they couldn't complain if they wanted to, but... Very nice detail in their skin up close. Just gorgeous eyes. So, to give them a place to hang out in this tank, I simply used some styrofoam, which works out very nicely because it's actually really absorbent, so the water kind of fills into it, and as you can see, algae and moss will start to eventually grow on top. So it's just more surface area for bacteria to keep the water clean. This tank doesn't actually use a filter, in case you couldn't tell by the extreme cloudiness of the water. I personally think that the fish actually do better in this kind of situation because they live in there with these crayfish. These are marbled crayfish. And they're parthenogenic, so they're all clones of the same original mother that we had. I believe there's 4 big ones in here now. And the guppies get good places to hide from with the cloudy water and the submerged branches and stuff I've got in there. There's quite a few. This wood's actually like almost 2 years old at this point. And I just recently put on this. I'm gonna try to add in some more filtration. This tank actually only needs water changes. Maybe every 2 weeks I change out about 1 gallon to 1.5 gallons of it. And you'd think with this many fish, it would cause more problems. But no, they've always been very healthy in here. Frogs look really nice. I don't think there's much issue with ammonium nitrates. The one populus plant is established in here does a pretty good job. And also, the duckweed. The fish do eat some of it, but a lot of it I actually skim out and separate. And I use it to feed some of the insects that these guys eat. I feed them mealworms, banded crickets instead of the regular house crickets. And I have a colony of dubia roaches that I raise, which essentially makes for free food. It's a nice cycle that keeps itself going. Guppies are kind of cool. Originally they all looked like the yellow and black one there, but since they're endlers guppies, over time the other genetics have started to show up. So you get really cool ones like this guy here. And after a few dozen generations, get some really cool variation. I like that guy do his mating dance there. Apparently for fish, the sexiest thing to be able to do is to swim in place and backwards with your fin up. These guys are gorgeous. Much less aggressive than the other crayfish, but in case you couldn't tell, there's no plants in the water. Anything that's buried gets eaten by them, so. Sometimes they'll actually come up to the surface to eat. I've seen them sticking their claws out of the top of water when they see that fish getting fed, and they'll reach up and pull stuff under, which is pretty cool. They're actually really smart for, you know, a creature you wouldn't generally think of as having much intelligence. This is our biggest guy. He's the one that loves to jump up and bite, although he's kind of taught the other ones to do that too. The frogs are both very friendly and very aggressive. You can pet them, and they won't run away, but they will occasionally try to eat your fingers. I believe they're all males. This one's kind of questionable. Usually go by the ear size. If the ear size is close to or smaller than the eyes, it's usually pretty certain that's a female. But I think these ones might be too young to be sure. But I know at least 2 of them certainly are males. They don't sing, at least never that I've noticed. I'm not sure if it's because it doesn't ever get fully dark enough or just because of the lack of seasonal changes in the house. But they do really well. Obviously they're nice and fat and good looking. But yeah, I just wanted to answer the guy who asked in the comments how the whole setup is. Very simple, nothing fancy. Frogs really don't need a lot of space. They're very content to spend their whole day just kind of sitting in one place and doing that. I know some people would say they need some stimulation. You need to know frogs better. They don't do anything. They are motion activated robots who sit in place, wait for food to show up, and then they leap at it and they eat it. Even if it's not food. When I add water, usually they'll try to attack the water too. But this is probably their best life. No predators, food falls from the sky, and they get to be shown off to anybody who watches these videos, which is cool too. So yeah, that's about it.